Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. The bipartisan committee investigating the January 6th insurrection just released a report within the last hour recommending that former Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark be held in contempt over his refusal to cooperate with the committee subpoena. Clark has had a lengthy career as a kind of archetypal Republican lawyer in and out of government, worked at the prestigious law firm Kirkland & Ellis, which serves as something of a breeding ground for Republican judges and lawyers. Also worked in the George W. Bush administration. Honestly, kind of nondescript bureaucrat, political appointee, not a household name. Washington runs on these people, more or less. Except this guy, this under-the-radar lawyer, that man that we showed you on the screen, is the single person who, more than anyone save for Donald Trump himself, came closest to pulling off an actual coup earlier this year. Jeffrey Clark. You may remember he served as the acting head of the civil division of the DOJ under Trump, a position he kind of fell backwards into as people left. And it was in that position that he hatched a plot to oust then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, become AG himself with Trump's support, and then use the full power of the Department of Justice to question the legitimacy of the 2020 election. Had he succeeded, if it had gone off, it almost certainly would have thrown the country into a full-blown constitutional crisis. As the committee puts it in that new report, quote, according to documents and testimony gathered by the Select Committee in the weeks leading up to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, Jeffrey Bossert Clark participated in efforts to delegitimize the results of the 2020 presidential election and delay or interrupt the peaceful transfer of power. After numerous courts throughout the United States has resoundingly rejected alleged voter fraud challenges to the election results by the Trump campaign, and after all states had certified their respective election results, Mr. Clark proposed that the Department of Justice send a letter to officials of the state of Georgia and other states suggesting they call special legislative sessions to investigate allegations of voter fraud and consider appointing new slates of electors. Mr. Clark also met with White House officials, including then-President Trump, to discuss efforts to delegitimize, disrupt, or overturn the election results. The Select Committee believes that Mr. Clark had conversations with others in the federal government, including members of Congress, regarding efforts to delegitimize, disrupt, or overturn the election results in the weeks leading up to January 6th. Now, Clark stonewalled that subpoena request. He showed up. He didn't just blow them off like Bannon. He showed up, but he refused to answer substantive questions. And that's why the Select Committee is now moving forward to recommend finding him in contempt of Congress. It is worth noting that unlike former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, who was indicted on counts of contempt of Congress earlier this month, Clark actually has a more plausible claim to legitimate executive privilege. I mean, he at least was on the payroll, actually worked for then President Donald Trump at the time in question, and was advising him in some official capacity. Although, as the committee points out in its report today, quote, the law is clear that executive privilege does not extend to discussions relating to non-governmental business.